And the question which they asked was, why are we starting the Talmud with page bet, not page Aleph? Every Gemara begins with bet and not with Aleph. Starts with bet. So the question is, why don't we start with page number 1? So I didn't have that great of an answer at the time, but now I do. So here's what I researched and what I share with them. So the simple explanation, really, why all the Gemaras begin, Babylonian Talmuds begin with bet, is that this is how, this is the typeset. Like when they printed it out 500 years ago, the first page that was listed as page Aleph was this page. It was like the cover page with all the commentators. And it's not listed as Aleph today. But this one became page bet. And after a while, people started to memorize this is page bet. And so when they started to print new Talmuds, they had to keep the same pagination because things were quoted based on that order. What's interesting based on this is that the Jerusalem Talmud starts with page Aleph. And that's because, Azriel Ariel says, that's because when they printed it originally, it didn't have all these commentators on the side of it. Sorry, everybody, here's that. It didn't have the commentators on the side of it. It was just the Gemara. And later on, other versions added the commentators. And so there was no, and not everybody memorized the page numbers for the Jerusalem Talmud. So therefore, it allowed for some flexibility. And when the newer printers printed out Jerusalem Talmud, they decided we're going to start like every other book with page 1. Just one interesting thing is, like, for instance, like in this wonderful book, it's my book. Like I don't even start my book on page, my text on page, my text starts on page 13. So it's not an abnormal thing that you'd start your book on a later page, right? Yeah.
Talmud is used more.
Babylonian Talmud by far. That's for another class, but it's a good question. Nice try. No, it's joking. All right, here's just two more. Here's a few more. Like quick. This is the explanation that I offered. 2 explanations that I offered on the spot that I remember. One was Tamei Amin Hagim says it's so you don't brag. Like you say, I finished all the time. You didn't finish page 1. That's like one explanation. These are like kind of like not the real ones, but another one which I think is nice is like the opposite. That how am I ever going to start learning the Talmud? It's so hard. Well, we start you on page bet. You already got a foothold in the Gemara. Get going. That's like the opposite of that. And 2 other ones would be in terms of your humility when you learn. Know that like you never fully have gone to the beginning of things. When you're learning Gemara, know that you didn't get to the source of everything. There's still more to learn. Therefore, we start you on page bet. It's like your orientation when you learn Gemara. First page, you're not going to grasp everything, and that's okay. And also to know that the Talmud is really a continuation of the written Torah. So not just to learn as a pure academic exercise. It's starting on page bet. There's something that comes before it, the written Torah, and to know that there's a connection between the written Torah and the oral Torah.